Have you ever wondered why, despite everything you go through, your soul still longs for something higher, something purer, something that feels like home? Pause. Let the question linger. Because in that longing lies a truth so ancient, yet so forgotten. God is joy. God is ecstasy. God is love. And every part of you was designed to return to that essence. Today we begin a journey into understanding the profound value of God and, more importantly, the beauty of trusting His will, especially during moments where everything inside you feels uncertain. Section 1. The soul's deepest memory. Every soul carries a memory, not of past lifetimes, not of ancestors, but of God's presence. This memory shows up as a sudden peace during chaos, a warmth in your chest when you pray, tears that fall without reason when you feel touched, a smile that appears when you see kindness. These are not coincidences. These are echoes from the moment your soul was created. Because God didn't just give you life, He breathed Himself into you. And what is God? Joy, ecstasy, love. Not emotions, not temporary feelings, but states of consciousness, the deepest vibration of existence. This is why nothing in the material world ever completely satisfies you. Not accomplishments, not relationships, not money, not validation. You can touch happiness, you can taste excitement, but they vanish. Why? Because the soul is not looking for temporary highs. The soul is always searching for its source, a source made of pure joy, a source that radiates love, a source that is ecstasy beyond human description. Section 2. God is not a concept. God is an experience. We often speak of God like an idea, a belief, a religion, a doctrine, a philosophy, a moral teacher. But God is not a concept. God is not a rule book. God is not a fear-based authority. God is an experience. You experience Him every day without realizing it. When your heart softens, when forgiveness comes easier than you expected, when you love someone without reason, when you feel guided to do the right thing, when peace unexpectedly enters your mind, that is God moving through you. You may call it intuition, you may call it a feeling, you may call it destiny, but it is God. And the reason God feels like joy is because your soul recognizes the energy it came from. The reason God feels like ecstasy is because truth always feels like freedom. The reason God feels like love is because love is not an emotion, it is the fabric of existence. Section 3. The misunderstanding between humans and God. For centuries, people have imagined God as someone who punishes, someone who tests, someone who withholds, someone who judges. But that version of God was created by human fear, not divine truth. If God is the creator of joy, why would He want you to live in misery? If God is the giver of love, why would He hate His own creation? If God designed your soul for ecstasy, why would He want you to live lifeless and small? The truth is simple. God does not punish. Life teaches. God does not withhold. Timing aligns. God does not abandon. Humans disconnect. God is the same energy that made galaxies spin, oceans form, flowers bloom, and children smile. That energy cannot be cruel. The cruelty you feel in life often comes from human betrayal, human ignorance, human actions, human impatience, human ego. But God is the one who heals what humans break. Section 4. When life hurts, God is not absent. There are moments when people say, God, why me? Why is this happening? Why does it hurt so much? Do you even hear me? And in these moments, you think God has abandoned you. But the truth is, these are the moments you are closest to Him, because pain cracks open the places where God's light wants to enter. Just like soil must be broken for a seed to grow, darkness must fall for the stars to shine, a shell must break for life to emerge. Your suffering may feel meaningless in the moment, but in God's plan, it is transformation. Not punishment, not rejection, not abandonment, transformation. You are not losing anything. You are shedding what cannot come with you into your higher destiny. And here's the truth many people forget. God's will is not always comfortable, but it is always perfect. Section 5. Trusting God. When you cannot see the path. Trusting God isn't hard when things make sense. Trusting God is hard when your plans collapse. People walk away, doors close, you feel alone, nothing is moving forward. In these moments, trust becomes a spiritual muscle. But ask yourself, if God is joy, if God is ecstasy, if God is love, why would He lead you somewhere that destroys your purpose? Sometimes God removes people because they were draining your spirit. Sometimes God delays blessings because you are growing into someone who can handle them. Sometimes God closes doors because they lead to places you were not meant to settle in. It is not rejection, it is protection. It is God saying, I see what you cannot see yet, trust me. There is a version of you that exists in God's plan, a version stronger, wiser, softer, radiant, aligned, fulfilled. But you cannot meet that version by holding on to things that shrink your soul. Trust is letting go of what you think your life should look like and making space for what God already designed. Section 6. The moment you realize God is joy. There will come a moment where you experience God not as a belief, but as a felt presence. It might happen during meditation, during silence, while crying deeply, while praying sincerely, while watching nature, during an overwhelming moment of peace. It feels like a warm wave in the chest, a tingling around your heart, a deep calm, a profound gratitude, a gentle peace. This is the soul returning to its original frequency. It is in this moment you understand. God is not outside you. God is within you, inside every cell, every breath, every heartbeat, every emotion, every intuition, every act of kindness. Joy is not something you chase, it is something you uncover. Ecstasy is not something you search for, it is something you awaken. Love is not something you need from the world, it is something you realize you already carry. Because God lives inside you as the most precious, eternal part of you. Section 7. Why the world wants you to forget this truth. When you know that God is joy, you become unbreakable. When you know God is love, you love without fear. When you know God is ecstasy, you stop settling for anything that suffocates your soul. This is why the world constantly tries to distract you with comparison, competition, insecurities, self-doubt, fear, societal pressure, material cravings, meaningless noise. Because the moment you remember who created you, you stop living small. You stop chasing external validation. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop living in fear. You stop feeling unworthy. You stop doubting your voice. You stop settling for half-love. You awaken. And a soul awakened to God's truth becomes powerful beyond measure. Section 8. Returning to God's will, a journey of trust. Trusting God's will does not mean passivity. It means alignment. It means saying, I surrender what I cannot see because I trust who is guiding me. It means choosing peace even when fear screams louder, choosing patience even when the ego demands speed, choosing faith even when logic fails, choosing love even when hurt tries to harden you. God's will is not about forcing you into a path. It is about leading you into your highest self. And this path will require endings, beginnings, silence, confusion, divine timing, inner growth, spiritual endurance. But everything God does, He does through love, because He cannot act outside His nature. And His nature is joy. His nature is ecstasy. His nature is love. Section 9. The miracle happens when you let go. Your greatest breakthroughs will come after your greatest surrenders. When you say, God, I tried everything my way. Now guide me your way. That is the moment the universe shifts. That is the moment peace enters. That is the moment doors open. That is the moment clarity arrives. That is the moment destiny begins moving. Because God cannot pour blessings into hands that are tightly holding on to fear. Let go so God can fill you. Trust so God can guide you. And most importantly, remember that God is not asking you to surrender to suffering. He is asking you to surrender to joy, to love, to your true path, to your divine destiny. A small but powerful flame of God's own energy. This spark is the part of you that knows right from wrong without explanation, feels drawn to compassion, craves meaning, seeks peace, senses truth, longs for love, refuses to give up, rises even after breaking death. That spark is God inside you, and the more you return to God, the brighter that spark becomes. It turns into intuition, wisdom, clarity, strength, patience, purpose, deep inner stability. People will start noticing it without you saying a word. Your presence becomes calming, your energy becomes grounding, your voice becomes reassuring, your eyes become soft and bright, your aura becomes peaceful. Why? Because the soul that reconnects with God begins to transmit His nature. When you understand that God is joy, your joy becomes natural, not forced. When you understand that God is ecstasy, you begin to appreciate the miracle of simply being alive. When you understand that God is love, your relationships transform because you are no longer searching for love, you are radiating it. Section 11. God's timing is always perfect. People often wonder, if God is truly love, then why does he make me wait? The answer is simple, yet profound. God does not delay. We simply arrive too early. Imagine receiving a blessing you're not emotionally prepared for. Imagine entering a relationship your heart is too wounded to sustain. Imagine receiving success your mind is too fragile to handle. Imagine stepping into a destiny your character is not yet ready to carry. The blessing would become a burden. But because God is love, he doesn't give you what destroys you. He gives you what builds you. Every delay is protection. Every no is a redirection. Every closed door is divine rerouting. Every unanswered prayer is an answered prayer. Just not in the way you expected. God's timing aligns with your spiritual maturity, your emotional readiness, your energetic frequency, your purpose, your long-term destiny. He is preparing you while preparing what belongs to you. When both are ready, the blessing and the soul, the miracle unfolds effortlessly. That is divine timing, and divine timing is never late. Section 12. The fear that blocks God's will. There is one barrier that keeps most people from experiencing God deeply. Fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of losing control, fear of disappointment, fear of change, fear of heartbreak, fear of trusting, fear of surrendering, fear of being wrong, fear of being vulnerable, fear of letting go. Fear feels logical, but it is the opposite of God's energy. Because where God is, joy lives. Ecstasy breathes. Love expands. Peace flourishes. Clarity blooms. Courage awakens. Fear cannot survive in the presence of God. The moment you trust God's will is the moment fear loses its power. You realize you're not walking alone. You realize you're being guided. You realize you're being held. You realize every step is orchestrated. You realize every path is purposeful. You realize every ending carries meaning. You realize every beginning is blessed. Fear dissolves when faith grows, and faith grows when you understand who God truly is. Section 13. How to feel God's presence daily. You don't need a temple, a scripture, or a ritual to feel God. You only need awareness. Here are subtle ways God speaks to you every single day. 1. Through peace. Peace that comes after crying. Peace that comes in silence. Peace that comes unexpectedly. Peace that has no logical reason. This peace is God's whisper. 2. Through intuition, that small inner voice that says, don't go there, trust this, let it go, wait, try again. That voice is not your mind, it is your soul guided by God. 3. Through signs, numbers, dreams, repetitive messages, random phrases, symbols, songs that appear at the perfect moment, people who show up just when you need them. These are not coincidences. These are divine nudges. Tears are not weakness. They are spiritual detox. When God wants to clear your heart, he softens it. 5. Through nature, wind that brings comfort, sunlight that touches your skin, water that soothes your energy, birds, flowers, mountains, the sky, all are reflections of God's artistry. 6. Through love. Any moment of pure love, even a small act of kindness, is God expressing himself through you or another person. 7. Through silence. Sometimes God is loudest when the world is quiet. When you notice these moments and pause to acknowledge them, you strengthen your connection with him. Section 14. When you stop forcing, God starts moving. Humans force, God flows. Humans rush, God aligns. Humans worry, God provides. Humans cling, God frees. Humans overthink, God simplifies. Whenever you feel exhausted, anxious, or confused, it is usually because you're trying to make something happen that is not meant to happen right now. But when you release control, gently, consciously, sincerely, you allow God to move on your behalf. And God moves beautifully. Suddenly, clarity appears, solutions show up, opportunities unfold, people return or leave. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind becomes clear. Because when you stop acting from fear, you make space for divine guidance. Let go, let God, not because you're giving up control, but because you're surrendering to a wiser one. Section 15. Your relationship with God should feel like love. Many people carry God with fear, with guilt, with shame, with duty, with pressure, with obligation. But this is not how God wants to be known. Your relationship with God should feel like safety, comfort, warmth, acceptance, truth, gentleness, home. It should feel like the most natural relationship in your life. You don't have to speak perfect words. You don't have to pray in a certain style. You don't need rituals, phrases, or memorized lines. Just speak from the heart. Say, God, I'm here. Guide me. Strengthen me. Help me trust you. Stay with me. I surrender. I choose your will. I trust your timing. That is enough. It is more than enough. It is everything, because God listens to sincerity, not formality. Section 16, the transformation. From fear to faith, from pain to peace. When you truly understand that God is joy, ecstasy, and love, your entire inner world shifts. Suddenly, anxiety turns into acceptance, confusion turns into clarity, frustration turns into patience, pressure turns into peace, overthinking turns into trust, loneliness turns into connection, sadness turns into understanding, fear turns into faith. You stop fighting life. You begin flowing with it. You stop trying to control outcomes. You begin opening to divine orchestration. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, what is this teaching me? How is this guiding me? Where is God leading me through this? This is the beginning of spiritual maturity. This is the beginning of a divine life. This is the beginning of alignment with God's will. Section 17, living in God's frequency, joy, ecstasy, love. To live connected to God is to live in a higher frequency. It doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means you become unshakable. You begin to smile more, breathe deeper, speak softer, forgive faster, detach easier, love more freely, feel more gratitude, expect good things, experience small miracles, walk with confidence, trust without fear. This is what happens when a soul returns to God, because God's frequency is the natural state of your soul. Joy is not something you need to create. It rises naturally when fear leaves. Ecstasy is not something you chase. It awakens naturally when your soul feels safe. Love is not something you must earn. It flows naturally when you reconnect with your source. Section 18, the final surrender. There comes a point in every spiritual journey where the soul stands between two choices, fear or faith, control or surrender, ego or God. This is the crossroads, and in that sacred moment your spirit whispers, I choose God. Not because you have all the answers, not because you know the path, not because everything makes sense, but because you feel His presence, because you've seen His signs, because you've survived things you shouldn't have, because deep down you know His will is love. His timing is divine, His plan is perfect, and when you surrender completely, you begin living the life you were always meant to live, a life designed by God, aligned with God, protected by God, and filled with God. A life of joy, a life of ecstasy, a life of love. Section 19, closing message, a return to the divine within you. Close your eyes for a moment, place your hand over your heart, feel the warmth, feel the pulse, feel the life moving through you. That life is not yours alone, it is God breathing in you. You are not separate from Him. You never were, you never will be. Your journey was never about finding God, it was about remembering Him. And today you remember, God is joy, and so are you. God is ecstasy, and so are you. God is love, and so are you. Because you were made in His image, from His essence, with His breath, for His divine purpose. Trust His will, trust His timing, trust His love. He has never left you. He is guiding you now, and He will carry you into the future He created just for you.